Home Impodcast time!
That's right, Bin for Tools is proud to present the Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Count Dracula, and you all know my co-host, Jordan. He's no fool when it comes to tools, Lion.
Oh, Dracula, so glad to have you back.
Take one, I did it.
Oh.
Yeah, Drac is back by popular demand.
Hashtag Drac is back.
We're covering a Halloween episode. Obviously I have Jay Leno, I have Dracula, and I have a Jimmy Stewart impression. So anytime I can shoehorn in one of those three. I've been working on a Thomas Hayden Church impression, but most people don't know who Thomas Hayden Church is, so it seems like it's kind of a waste of time.
I mean, what kind of themed episodes are you going to pull out Jay Leno for?
Any
car theme?
I think Jay Leno is on an episode of Home Improvement. I'm kind of certain.
Well, then that'll be perfect that time.
Well, I should not say I'm kind of certain. I have a feeling he's on an episode of Home Improvement.
What is kind of certain? Is that 85%?
I mean, kind of certain is like, I don't know if it's 50, 60, or it could also be like 30, just depending on the mood. But Jordan, happy 88 days until Halloween.
Yeah, what a coincidence that 88 days before Halloween that we would cover this episode.
It is, yeah, a coincidence is really the best way to describe it.
Or fate, I don't know which.
Fate, fodder, coincidences, business cards. These are all things we talk about here on the introductory segment of Home Impodcast. Jordan, how you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready for the weekend. I've gotten a couple things of golf in. Had a golf lesson. A friend of mine is going to be a PGA course pro, and so he treated me to a free golf lesson that he got to film, and then went to the driving range yesterday. So I'm getting a little bit into the swing of things, if you will.
It's always good to get a couple of things of golf in, as you said.
Well, they weren't rounds, so I didn't know what to call it.
Yeah. PGA, wow. How does that, is that kind of segue into Halloween in any way, or why are you bringing that up?
Well, I'm going to be a golfer this year for Halloween.
Okay, yeah, I wondered about that.
Yeah.
What do you do for Halloween? You had a Halloween party last year, if I recall. What'd you dress up as?
I was the Brawny Man, complete with a paper towel.
I'm certain we've talked about this on air
I'm sure.
before. All right, well, what might you be next year, if you had to say? Let's do Home Improvement costumes, shouldn't we? Wouldn't that be?
Yeah, that was kind of the inspiration for last year. I was supposed to be Al Borland.
Yeah.
But it kind of, no one was going to know who Al Borland was, unfortunately.
Ooh, must be they haven't listened. Well, I guess it hadn't come out yet. But our Richard Karn interview, since we've done that, people will kind of now
Absolutely.
be a little bit more aware of that. I think we should at least dress up as Home Improvement characters, and maybe we can change our banner photo on Twitter or something. But I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I think we could do that. And then
who's Tim? Who's Al?
It'll give us an excuse to get some shirts and stuff that match what they got. We can wear Binford hats and stuff if we want, just in case people are confused. I don't know.
I know, we need to buy those Binford hats. Who do you think, are you more of a Tim or more of an Al, just in terms of appearance?
Well, I do have the beard, so I guess that would help.
I suppose you're also heavier than me. you're a little bit thicker.
The height thing really throws us off. They're about the same height, and we are not at all. So I don't really know how that...
Yeah, it is tough. Yeah.
I'll just stand on stilts.
Yeah, what's new? Jordan, what are we covering this week?
We're covering episode 55, Crazy for You. All
right. What should we do first? Do you want to give some more information? Do we get in the alternate titles? What's the plan?
Do you not remember how every other week goes?
I seem to be kind of blanking.
Well, we should say that you're a little under the weather, so this is kind of like a fever dream for you at this point.
I've not been feeling so great lately. Actually, what happened is, I'm on the Internet Movie Database right here, IMDb, and I saw the advertisements on the left and right side for The Dark Tower, and I saw The Dark Tower last night, and Kirsten, my girlfriend, and I kind of been going on a crusade to sort of defend The Dark Tower, because everybody kind of just thinks it's terrible, but we really liked it.
Movie or book?
The movie last night.
Oh, everyone thinks the movie's terrible.
Yeah, everybody thinks the movie's terrible. The book is kind of well thought of, but that kind of, I don't know, I got in my own head about it. But go see The Dark Tower. This is just a quick plug. Go see The Dark Tower because, and Jordan, forgive me, I tweeted this, but we're in a movie landscape right now where it's just like either kind of superhero movies or like really, really small movies, indie movies that don't go to the theater. So it's important that, maybe some other sort of things rise to the surface. Spider-Man, Superman, go see The Dark Tower. It's fun. It's not perfect, but it's fun.
That must have been a long series of tweets, because it was certainly more than 140 characters.
Yeah, well, I didn't know you were limiting me to that.
Well, that's what I
but
kind of assumed. Once you say I tweeted this, I thought you were going to verbatim quote what you said.
No,
but.
I just went on. We just kind of went on some rants last night. But I like the Dark Tower. McConaughey's a little cheesy, but it's fun, and I just thought it was I enjoyed it.
Is it going to be like a series like the book was, or is it just one?
Not if it does. Not if people don't go see this.
That's true.
One.
That's true. I didn't read the series. I actually looked into getting some from the library, and I got to put in some requests to get started with that series. So
I like it. I like the movie. I like the books. But we're not here to talk about that, Jordan. We're here to talk about Crazy for You.
Yeah, we kind of went on the side there. So written by Bob Bettinson of Maybe Baby fame. So this is the second episode that he's written. Aired October 27th, 1993. Lots of plot keywords for this one. We haven't had plot keywords in a long time, but things like gorilla costume, Little Bo Peep costume, widow costume, lots of costume fodder.
Can I request that you click on gorilla costume and tell me maybe one of the first couple things that comes up?
Well, I bet you can guess one of them that comes up right away.
Gorilla costume. George of the Jungle.
King Kong is number one.
Mighty Joe Young.
I haven't seen any of those yet.
You haven't seen George? The Pink Panther.
I've seen. Yeah, Pink Panther's on there. A lot of Mr. Belvedere.
Okay, Mr. Belvedere. Jackass 3D. Oh man,
you must dress up like a gorilla. Big Bang Theory, one of your favorites.
Oh yuck! I'd rather watch Jackass 3D.
Power Rangers. Yeah, not a lot of movies on here. I bet you if we made it movies specific. There's only 10 on there. Maybe we get the George of the Jungle on here.
Is Mighty Joe Young cracking the top 10 or what? This is important.
No, it's not even on there for 10. So it sounds like we need to update some of the stuff that's on here.
First they got rid of the message boards. Now they can't even make sure Mighty Joe Young kind of rises to the top of the heap. I don't know. IMDb, it's losing its fastball.
Yeah, we might not be able to pull any information from here later on.
Yeah, if that were the case, we would be in real trouble.
All right, let's get into alternative titles. I've got three. What do you got?
1, 2, 3. Man, I got 5, it looks like.
Man, you just keep going. When those creative juices are flowing, you just churn them out.
I like to make you look bad. So we mentioned the title is Crazy for You, and it is a Halloween episode. The title is not very good. It needs to be more Halloween-y.
Yeah, it's actually terrible. Halloween-y.
Halloween-y horror. Okay, so you go ahead and go first.
All right. The first one is pretty simple. Rose Woes.
All right, that's good. That's good. I'll do 2. The Queen of Halloween, ripped from the episode.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I'll do another one since I have 5. All right, this is related to the boys. Mo's Mo Problems.
How many times have we done Mo something?
I know, but this one particularly
I mean, you had
topical.
to at this point.
They dress up like Mo from the Three Stooges.
Yes,
So.
they do.
All right, do another one, Jordan.
I don't know if you've heard, but the psychologists and psychiatrists of America have come out with a new disorder, and it's called obsessive-compulsive murder.
What? Where's the term? Like obsessive compulsive murder?
She's obsessive. Is really the whole thing. Rose is an obsessive fan.
Jordan, that's bad.
I know it is. That's why I put it in the middle.
All right. Last 3. A Rose by Any Other Name.
I thought about that one too.
You should have done it because it's pretty good. Do you have any more?
I've got one more.
Go ahead.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does rhyme. So, The Silence of the Fans.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. All right. Last 2. Terror at the Taylors, which just seems right for the picking. And this one they would never do, and you'll see why. A hair-raising home improvement. Because, like, they just, TV shows typically wouldn't put their name in the episode title, but...
I wish they would.
I'm going to go ahead and say A Rose by Any Other Name is the best one of the lot. So.
Sure. Well,
or Momo's Mo Problems.
I definitely like Momo's Mo Problems. All
right.
right.
You got a plot synopsis?
Plot synopsis by Bernie. It's Halloween time and the pranks begin. A fan named Rose sends Tim cookies and starts calling him at home. Tim worries about an obsessive fan, but Jill dismisses it. Jill has her own plans for tricking Tim. Thanks, Bernie.
Spoiler. Thanks, Bernie. I will say right off the bat, I had seen this one before. Had you?
Yeah, this one definitely stuck out in my brain.
It's kind of a classic.
Definitely a classic. Definitely.
It's a classic. And let's get into it, Jordan. So, opening scene, I'll start things off. It's home. It's home at the Taylor house. No, they're home. And the boys, they're up to no good. and they say, "Mom, quick, she's coming, she's coming." Jill enters, and they say something like, "Mom, we don't feel good," and they put blood capsules in their mouths, and blood is just oozing out, and it's a pretty good gag, I would say.
Yeah, they're just bleeding all over the counter.
I know,
yeah,
and Jill, she takes it in stride. You can't prank her.
No,
I like the idea of this like being the start of a prank war between Jill and the boys, because like she always seems kind of a little bit too into getting the boys at their own games and stuff. So I was thinking like she would just kind of like heighten it more and really scare them, but it didn't happen. Tim walks in, and Jordan and I saw the Home Improvement logo. The pumpkin. It was a sort of jack-o'-lantern, and it was smashed.
Well, and it also had like one of those Mardi Gras masks on it.
Didn't notice that. Maybe I didn't see it as well as I thought. I better not congratulate myself too much. Tim has just returned from the store, and he's purchased some Halloween gag stuff. He's got a bunch of different things, but he didn't get rubber guts.
Yeah, they're supposed to make a body out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard them referred to as rubber guts before, but Jill, did Jill get them, or she's going to get them?
She got them from a catalog, apparently.
A rubber guts catalog specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
That checks out.
Yeah. There's some more banter, and Tim has a large box with him, which should have been suspicious off the bat.
Yeah, there's a candy corn cake in there.
Yeah,
that sounds awful.
See, I thought a carrot cake, right?
Oh, a carrot cake. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I hate candy corn so much that I just assumed it was going to be in there.
But do you like carrot cake?
I'm okay with carrot cake.
Yeah, me too. Middle of the road. So Jill opens the box, and the first scare of the episode, a head pops out.
Oh, severed head. Gross.
A severed head. It's not the last time you're going to see that severed head. That's for sure.
I think between the first time and the second time we see it, it grows some hair though. So.
Okay. I was thinking that, like this is, I don't know, what are the logistics of this gag, You think about that, like, so did Tim, like, buy this fairly realistic head that would cost no less than, like, $80? Like, Halloween masks and stuff like that are really expensive.
Money is no object when it comes to pranking your wife.
I suppose not, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess you're not supposed to think much of the implications of it, but it's okay. It's an all right gag, I would say. It's a fine opening scene, setting up the episode.
Yeah, you would think she would be suspicious of like everything, especially knowing what she has planned. But
yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Next scene.
Yep. So on Tool Time, we're gonna move on to the Tool Time set. Al is staining some wood. He's got 3 different colors here. It is slow and boring work for Tim, and he is pretending to fall asleep.
It's boring for me as well.
I thought you loved staining wood.
No, I have always had a fondness for staining wood, but I just meant that Al doing this was quite boring.
I think they did exactly what they wanted to do, which was set up a boring thing here, and. They go over to like the polyurethane because you put that on top of the stain for the wood. And there's
hey man, you don't have to tell me that.
I know you love stain. And Tim gets Al to open a giant can, and of course that same head that we just saw pops out and it scares Al. So
yeah, but
2
like
for 2 on this gag.
Well, he should. I thought we'd see it a 3rd and 4th time. I'm glad we didn't, but he was controlling it with his foot though. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he was. He really set that one up. I mean, he did. I don't think he did that at home.
No, me neither. Interesting.
He got to the set really early that day to work on that.
Yeah,
so worked out well.
Yeah.
But Tim is killing time in between now and then because apparently the show is too long. I don't know. I don't understand the point of that statement. But it is viewer mail time, so they're going to move over to that lazy boy chair and sit down, take a look at some mail. There's one that has cookies and a rose from his biggest fan.
Right.
So Tim reads that. It's the second from Rose this week. She dreams of him each night. And Al says that sounds like she has a sleeping disorder, and the crowd really likes that.
Yeah, this is not unlike the Home Impodcast mail we get. Just...
yeah, absolutely.
Barrels.
Dreaming of us.
We just get cookies and baked goods and carrot cakes and just tons and tons of fan mail. So this rang true definitely for me. I don't know if you get as much as I do, but yeah, I definitely could relate to this.
Well, you're the one who has to bring in the wheelbarrows. I'm kind of the one that just has like that small mailbag. So
yeah, so as you that's the truth. So as you noted, the woman's name is Rose, and Tim just kind of casually mentions that it's the second time he's heard from her this week. Although we've never seen the viewer mail segment before. Presumably, it's happening a couple times a week. So
yeah, well, they can't show every episode of Tool Time.
Yeah, I wish they did.
No, you don't. So Al one-ups him because Tim is bragging about all the kinds of mail that he gets, and I almost did what you did. Heidi brings in a wheelbarrow full of mail, and then Tim says, well, you don't get cookies. And then two people come in with two more wheelbarrows full of cookies. And I don't know if you noticed, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure that one of the people who wheeled in one of those wheelbarrows was Felix the plumber from season 1.
I didn't notice.
He had the same kind of cap and outfit and stuff.
Okay.
I'm not for sure, but it seemed likely.
It's an interesting theory, a fan theory, if you will. It probably is, yeah. I mean, I don't know much about Felix, but it's possible. In terms of this gag, it doesn't... I mean, I guess it's somewhat funny. I mean, if you spend a lot of time thinking about it, it doesn't really make sense. But I suppose the visual elements of it are humorous enough. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it did fine. I guess the whole point was to set up, like, the Rose bit, and they had to keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a good way to just kind of keep the scene going where it just logically made sense to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
That's fine.
All right. Next scene, we are back home, and we have Jill and her friend. I wrote her real name. Marie. Okay. Marie and Jill, they are carving pumpkins, presumably for the party. Joe's out of town. The meat man is at some kind of a meat conference.
It's too bad. I would have really liked to see him at this party.
Yeah, I heard the meat conferences are just crazy. Like the guys, they just really go wild. So they all have
they're a bunch of meatheads.
Yeah, they all just have matching jackets, and they spend time at the hotel bar. So yeah, they are they're setting up for the party, and Tim comes home and he has a fake wart.
Not just one fake wart. His whole face is covered with warts.
They do a pretty good job with the and I guess they have throughout the series run, but the special effects in terms of like the Halloween stuff, they look good. I mean, it looks better than any like layman would actually do with their kind of makeup and warts and things like that. But it's impressive always to me. So Tim kind of talks a little bit about Rose here, and I don't know. It's kind of immediately obvious that like Jill isn't concerned enough about this, so thus she must be.
She says, "Yeah, right. You have a fan," and she just kind of dismisses this whole thing.
Yeah, like he would make that up, but yeah, he kind of sets it up to them. Jill's not concerned. Marie's not concerned. It's all just kind of played for a bit, and then the boys enter and. They reveal that they're going to be the Three Stooges for Halloween. You a Stooge guy, Jordan?
Haven't seen a lot from them, to be honest, but they seem likable enough. What about you?
Yeah, I liked them quite a bit when I was younger. My dad liked them. I think it's like a father-son kind of thing. It's I used to watch them on like Turner Classic Movies and stuff. But the Stooges they're good fun. Just a lot of physical humor. And I'm thinking like you really like that table gag a couple seasons ago where Tim's head gets stuck to the table.
I think they are right up my alley.
You'd probably love the Stooges.
On TCM right now is August Under the Stars. They don't have a day dedicated to the Stooges though, so
not yet.
Won't be able to catch it this year.
Tim, he's excited that the boys are going to be Stooges. Oh man, I love the Stooges. I love those guys.
He gets really amped.
He kind of oversells it a little bit.
Yeah.
But, and then Marie says, "Why do all men like the Stooges, even the smart ones?" And I think she actually is maybe kind of onto that. You very rarely do you hear a guy say that he doesn't like the Stooges. Maybe not our generation, but certainly the older generations. And then there's a bit about Einstein loving the Stooges as well.
Because he wore Larry's hair.
Yes, that is why. Jordan,
I don't know if that checks out or not.
Jordan, do you know the Stooges' names?
Curly, Moe, and Larry.
Hey, ding, ding, ding. What about the alternate Stooges?
Oh man, now that you're asking too much.
All right, you got Shemp.
Oh yeah, I should have known that.
You got Curly Joe.
Oh, of course.
I think that's it. Stooge talk.
Bam. All right, let's move on.
Sure.
Enough Stooge talk. At home later on, so we're staying in the same place pretty much. Tim is setting up a hanging skeleton to drop in on people in the garage. He's really amped about this. The phone rings though, and it's Rose. And Tim at first thinks it's Jill, and this is a gag, but she says she's in love with him and wants Tim. I'm wondering how she got the number, and that's super creepy, especially learning later on that Tim's number is unlisted. And he pretends that this is, Jill the whole time until Jill is behind him
Yeah.
And it creeps him out a little bit. So he hands over the phone, and Jill kind of goes along with the gag. Again, this is a very strange thing that she would do here. Like, she would say, yeah, you can have my husband,
right,
over the phone to this person. But she's trying to play the angle that she thinks that Tim is pranking her.
See, so, I got to be honest with you. Up until the next scene, I wasn't entirely sure Jill was in on it. Were you?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't really know that she was in on it until a little later.
I mean, I knew it wasn't real, but I suspected it might be like Al or something. Like, I didn't necessarily know that it was Jill. And I guess, to the credit of the episode, I would say.
Because otherwise she's playing this really well.
I would say so. One question I had was, like any last episode or whenever Marie was in the show last, she's got like a really obnoxious kind of like Brooklyn accent. So I find it hard to believe Tim wouldn't just kind of recognize. Also, the voice we hear of Rose doesn't really. It's definitely not the actress that's playing Marie. But I wondered about the logistics of that. Just like she sounds just like someone born and bred in the Bronx. But
I wrote that down on my notes for like the last scene.
I don't even know whose voice that is, but
that's what I wrote down. So whose voice is this?
We'll get to that.
Yep. So Jill's playing this pretty well, and we're gonna move outside where Wilson is raking leaves. I guess a little bit more normal than some of the other things that he does out there.
I like how he starts. Heidi ho and boo, good neighbor. Let's go ahead and I guess before we say much more, we should go ahead and play the clip.
Hey, Wilson. Heidi ho and boo, good neighbor. Hey, let me ask you a question. Let's say you wanted my phone number, didn't have it. How would you go about getting it?
Well, I already have your phone number, Tim.
I know. What if you didn't have it?
I suppose I'd just ask you for it.
But what if you didn't know me?
Then why would I want to call you?
Boy, I wish I was friendly with some of the other neighbors around here.
What is troubling you, my little fence friend?
I got kind of an odd call by this woman who sent me a fan letter at work. My phone number's unlisted.
Ooh. That is a concern. I hope you're not dealing with an obsessed fan. No, Tim. Sometimes they see somebody on TV, they start idolizing that person. Sometimes they even send them gifts.
Like chocolate macadamia nut cookies?
That's a good and tasty possibility, though I'd be very cautious about eating anything that they send. Tim, I wouldn't worry about it. If the cookies were poisoned, I'm sure you'd feel the effects by now.
Hell no. I got this burning bile feeling in here now.
You're gonna be fine.
So I noted earlier the humorous introduction of Heidi Ho and Boo, Good Neighbor. I don't know what about that I like so much, but I really got a chuckle.
He just threw you for a curve.
Just hit my funny bone. Tim, he expresses his concern to Wilson because, how did Rose get the number? Tim's unlisted from from the phone book. Phone books, of course, have come and gone, but...
he's not listed on Google anymore.
He's not on Google, but yeah, Tim's unlisted, so he wonders how she got the number. And this is when I assumed that, Jill was in on it, because Wilson is not very convincing here at acting like he doesn't know anything. Because, Wilson is immediately sort of like, oh man, Tim, you should be concerned. This is a big deal.
Yeah, he feeds the lore right away.
Yeah, it goes against Wilson's character though. Wilson, every other time we've ever seen Wilson has made Tim feel better and put him at ease and kind of said there's nothing to worry about. A million men have been in the same position you're in right now, and a million more will be. But this time he's just like, oh, I don't know, those cookies are probably poisoned. I mean, I'd be pretty worried about it. And this is when we cut to Jill.
But that's why it's so effective for Tim, because Wilson every other time has been so helpful.
I suppose you're right. Yeah, that does make it a little bit more convincing. We cut up to Jill in the bedroom, and she is talking on the phone to Marie, and this is when we hear her, say for the first time that she's pranking Tim. She's in on it with Marie. This is for everything he's ever done. She goes through a list of 3 things, presumably for the audience, that Marie also has to listen to. It's like one of those things where it's like just just delivering exposition on the phone, not necessary for
Marie hung up at this point.
Yeah, Marie wasn't even on the phone anymore. She's like, yeah, you remember when he did blank, blank, and blank? And Marie's like, yeah, you already told me 6 times.
Goodbye.
See you later. I gotta make dinner. But yeah, Marie is masquerading as Rose. Jill did the whole thing. It's a revenge plot, and
really, we learned that like everyone's in on it. Like Wilson's helping too right now.
Yeah, we don't learn until later on that also Al and Heidi are in on it. I think we don't learn that until the next scene, or maybe we do. But yeah, it is. It's a conspiracy that has really gone.
It reaches the very top of society.
Yeah, that's the truth. So we cut again. This is an episode that has a lot of really quick scenes. I mean, we are in a lot of different places in this episode until the very end where it sort of meanders at the party. But the first 10 minutes is really quick moving, I think, to the episode's benefit. We're back outside at the fence, right? No.
Yeah, you go back outside and it like shows Tim's like burning.
He says they pick up right where they left off where Tim has... Wilson says, don't eat those cookies or something like that. And Tim has taken a bite out, and now he says he feels like a bile in the back of his throat. And he's concerned.
As you should be.
Where do we pick up from here? My notes are a little...
Well, and then it goes right back inside. It goes right back inside, and we do learn more about, like, Marie being Rose, and Jill loves it, and it has, like, this maniacal laugh. And then there's a creepy cutaway with these, like, weird guys.
Oh, man. That was the scariest part of the episode.
Their faces are, like, half melted.
They're goblins, I think.
Well, they're tall goblins, if that's what they are. And they're wearing all black. They got gloves on. They're goblins with attitude.
They were really scary. I paused it to get a good view of them. It was probably the best special effects of the episode. But
I went back to watch it. Got a little scared and I didn't want to do it again.
No, it's too scary. What happens next?
Yeah, so later inside, Tim is downstairs. He's reading a magazine and the doorbell rings. He's a little spooked here because he's got a bat next to the door just in case that Rose comes in. He's gonna bash her head in. And Marie comes in with a bunch of bags that has some more Halloween party goodies. And Tim's spooked, but he also, at the same time, Tim has two feelings here. He's like spooked, but he also kind of likes the idea of someone obsessing over him. So I guess he likes a safe obsession. And Marie asks Tim to go get the rest of the jack-o'-lanterns in the car. And as she does so, they
kind of suspiciously.
Yeah, well, they're so heavy, and Tim is a man; he can help out.
Yeah, so, Jordan, are you saying women aren't strong?
No, I'm just saying her hands were full.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, whatever your opinions are.
You're trying to insinuate
whatever your
me,
opinions are on things like that. Like, don't get me into it. I had a question. What makes you say that Tim is enjoying because stalker?
Every time he brings it, like Jill brings up that he has a fan and stuff, he's like, yeah, I do have a fan, and he's like, yeah, somebody does like sending me cookies.
Okay,
but there is the line, and apparently Rose, the fictitious Rose, has crossed it for him. So, but Jill is kind of egging him on during this conversation when he comes back in, and Marie is also saying like, he should really be aware and be cautious about this. She's in therapy. She knows how crazy people are. And let's see.
She's in like Overeaters Anonymous or like food, like therapy for people with that overeat. I'm not sure that really translates well.
You know how crazy those hungry people are.
Yeah, I suppose.
Marie also talks about the best prank that she's ever seen, which was someone super gluing a grandma to a toilet.
Yeah, but it wasn't her grandma.
Yeah, so it's fine. Jill continues to mess with him, and at the end of this scene, she asks, should you phone in sick? And he says no, and he walks out into the garage, and the skeleton that he put up earlier scares him.
And he says that his bowels have been loosened or something.
Apparently he pooped his pants.
Yeah, he straight up himself right in this scene. It was really gross. And if you turn up the volume really loud, you can like hear the sound. It's disgusting.
That's one of the sound effects they could have gotten away with.
Yeah, that is true, yeah. All right, so next scene, Tool Time back.
Can I say I really like this scene?
Jordy, you could. This is half.
Can I say that?
This is half your podcast. You can say whatever you want as long as we can keep our clean rating on iTunes.
That's not what you say before the show. You're usually battering my pride.
Yeah, I usually say speak when spoken to, or when I bring you in. I like to keep the idea that I am the host and you're my co-host.
The subservient Igor.
Igor to my Dr. Frankenstein. All right, so Tool time. Jordan, you like this scene.
I do.
So
See,
Tim,
you're telling me I like it.
Jordan, you like this scene? You listen to me, you like it. Tim is backstage, and he asks Al if there's a lot of ladies in the audience, to which Al should have said, no, there never are. This is,
no, there's usually one or two.
Yeah, there's usually one or two, which is what he says. Heidi introduces them and brings them out, but the introduction is different than usual.
Boy, she tried something different here.
And it does not work.
It's awful.
It's terrible. She says, like, hey,
they're no fools when it comes to tools.
Which is how Dracula introduced you.
Dracula did it pretty well, though.
Dracula was more convincing than Heidi was, and maybe Dracula, he had to step outside for a cigarette, but he might come back at the end of the episode.
To be fair, Dracula's had years and years of like delivering lines like that.
Man, you're right about what you said last episode with Heidi, though. Just not a lot of panache in her delivery of lines. You know, it's just like, they're no fools when it comes to tools. Here's Tim.
Yeah.
It kind of is like that on the real.
On the real, I think.
On the real, I'm being serious. So Tim comes out, and it is funny. He looks to the audience, and it's all women. Jordan, it's the Sharpshooters Club of Detroit.
Oh, so good. I like that. I like that joke a lot.
I put a big LOL next to that because there's no way that's a thing. But no. It is funny. It's just a bunch of women in tool time hats.
And apparently they've got sniper rifles sitting next to them. So puts Tim on edge, and he keeps hiding behind Al.
He introduces Al as Al Bullseye Borland because if anybody's gonna get shot here, it's gonna be Tim, or it's gonna be Al rather. In front of him. Yeah, and Tim continues to kind of like hide behind things. They're insulating windows, and Tim is hiding behind the window. And
not an effective hiding spot. Can I say that?
No, but it does make for a good gag. And it just like kind of keeps heightening, and Tim is just very, very worried, and he just he says something about how like he does the thing where like you think it's going to be like this isn't just a show about home improvement, it's also, usually he says it's about male improvement, but it's also, he says it's not just a show about home improvement, it's also a show about what does he say, like,
I didn't catch that part.
No, he's not. For some reason, the only thing that can come to my mind is strip searching, but it's not.
Oh, yeah.
What does he say?
It's like a pat down.
Pat down. We should have written that down clearly. But basically, he heightens and it heightens and it heightens, and eventually he just kind of yells "cut" and walks off the set.
Show over. 2 minutes in.
Show over. Those poor sharpshooters.
Yeah, they didn't get what they wanted.
No.
And they can really take you out if they're not happy. But so he leaves. Tim is backstage at this point. He has some headphones on. He's trying to direct the cameramen to like zoom in on everyone to see if there's someone suspicious in the crowd. And Al comes backstage and is trying to confront him about what's going on. Heidi also then comes backstage. Apparently there's a rose in a card that she found. And Tim's not interested in reading this. He knows what this is about. But Al says, well, you should at least read it. And so he reads that Rose is in the front row today, and she'll somehow be at the Halloween party. Don't reject my affections, or you'll be sorry.
Ominous.
All right, how'd you get invited to the Halloween party?
I have another question as well. Also, before we get into that, I'd like to say, this is where Tim gets the rose, and Lisa says, bye.
Lisa, Heidi.
It's just going to be...
you're going to call her the tool girl? Is that what you're going to do?
It's just going to be a thing that happens for a while. Heidi's like, boy, men sure do react differently to getting roses than women. Which is, just a heck of a zinger. No, she says Rose says she's going to be at the Halloween party, and then Tim's looking at the monitor, and a woman we presume to be Rose gets up and leaves. So I wonder... Is that just a coincidence, or is that...
Yeah, did they plant that person?
Or is that Marie leaving?
That's not Marie. That would be suspicious,
okay.
I think.
Okay. He would recognize her.
Yeah, that would be very suspicious, but I don't know...
Do you think it's a coincidence? I think it's a coincidence. I think it's paranoia on the level of like a Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, rather, in the Twilight Zone.
Maple Leaf. They're on one Maple Leaf.
That's my favorite Davison hotel out there by the Dairy Delight.
I think when you're planning a prank so well and things are going so well, just stuff like this just adds on, Things just coincidentally happen that make it even better, so...
Yeah, I think that was a coincidence. How did you get invited to the party? I don't know. I guess Tim, he's so concerned and just spooked and frightened that he's not worried about just whether or not things make sense or add up or whether or not that's even a possibility.
Yeah, he's not worried about that.
Tim storms off, and we find out that Heidi, and Al are in on it, and Al is taking...
But Heidi has second thoughts, and Al loves it.
Al's taking a perverse pleasure in the whole thing.
Years and years of abuse have led Al to this point.
Yes.
Dressing up as a woman and trying to scare.
Spoiler, Jordan. Jeez,
Sorry.
You're bad at not ruining the ending here. Even though everybody's already seen the episode.
All right, let's move on to the longest scene of the episode, and I guess what all the tension is building up to. It's the Halloween party time. The Taylor house is decked out. There's
Hey, Jordan,
spooky...
can I just stop you and say, I really like this scene.
Oh, yeah, see, you can do that at any time. When I do it, I'm kind of scared, but you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. So it's decked out. There's spooky music. There's dark lighting, cobwebs. Everyone's in costume. It looks like my Halloween party last year, to be honest. You wouldn't know.
I severely doubt that your party looked that good, but hey, man, I hope you're right, because I was thinking this thing was, I mean, it looked...
It's off the chain.
I mean, it's off the chain. It really is. And I would just say that this is your typical kind of home improvement party where no one knows anyone else and no one is talking to anyone else. It's just like random people of indeterminate ages just kind of hanging around. Like Tim walks by like 4 people and doesn't know who any of them are and says nothing to any of them.
Apparently, a thing in the 90s was to like try to stay hidden. Whoever you were, just be hidden.
But they have Al working the door like security.
How's he supposed to recognize these people as they walk in?
It's a neighborhood. Like it'd be like you having a party in Belle Meade and like someone coming in you didn't know and just that being a real shock and surprise. I don't know. Carry on.
All right. So Al is in a gorilla costume. He's got a bat, that same bat that Tim was using, I guess, and he's supposed to check people as they come in. Maybe he's going to do that pat down that he didn't do at the Tool Time episode.
It's not just about male improvement. It's also about patting people down.
So we pan over to Tim, and he is a corpse.
Great costume. Looks really good.
Yeah, really good makeup work here. And there's some interesting camera work in this scene kind of
I was
throughout.
just going to say that, Jordan. You're right. I have a master's in film. I don't know if people know that about me, but I do have my master's degree in film studies. So if I could just take a moment to talk about the film.
Please.
A lot of extreme close-ups used to show emotion. That's essentially it. But it's good.
Also, I feel like there's a little bit of shaky camera work here to add a little bit of...
it's a handheld.
I don't know. Yeah, it's frightening. It's Blair Witch Project-esque.
It's Kafka-esque. It's disorienting.
Disorienting is the word. So they use that disorienting camera work as they kind of follow in front of Tim's face. He is a little bit nervous. He's bumping into people. He doesn't know who they are, but he's suspicious that everyone is Rose. He goes over to see his wife, who is a widow. They talk a little bit about how the costumes aren't great, even though I think they look good.
I think they're both really, really great.
Yeah, I think they're good. And she said she got them late, which I think she did 2 years ago,
last
too.
Year, maybe
yeah,
2
last
years
year.
Ago. Yeah.
It was either the corpse or Bob Vila. So
what's the difference?
So Tim says everyone looks like death and zombies, and then Al is not even doing a good job at the door. An executioner walks in waving his axe unchecked, while Al is fluffing the mustache of some sort of Yeti.
Jordan, that's Reverend McDonald, though. That's not just any executioner. That's Reverend McDonald.
Nothing to worry about.
I got a kick out of that. I don't know why. I thought that was funny.
The Reverend as an executioner.
I don't know. I just liked him saying that. Yeah.
So Tim is unnerved by everything around him. This is probably a bad place for him to be if he's so scared. But the boys come down, and they're going to add a little bit of lighthearted humor here because they've got their costume.
All right.
Go ahead.
Pause. I think this could have been better than it was. Stooges impressions are not that difficult to do. For instance, I can do it.
You would know.
That's all you got to do. But Brad has to do some heavy lifting here, as we should say they all dress up as Mo, hence the clever title Momo's Mo Problems.
Clever.
They all dress up as Mo, and Brad has to do some heavy lifting here in terms of dialogue, and it just isn't really very good.
It kind
of made me cringe watching it.
It was a little slow, I feel like. The delivery was a little slow.
It seemed too rehearsed, like it was just too out of his comfort zone, and I mean, obviously, I know who the Stooges are, and Brad is older than I am in real life, so I guess that's not a great excuse. But it just didn't seem like he was real comfortable delivering that dialogue. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the good thing is that they really commit to like holding each other's ears throughout the party. They kind of are this rotating trio of pinching and they just kind of move around the party yelling "ow, ow!"
Yeah, because they all have a
ow.
hold of each other's ears. I don't know why everyone. I mean, if you're gonna choose a stooge to be, I'd go Curly anyways. I don't know why they all want to be Mo, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, Mo's Mo problems. But the other question I have is, why are there 3 kids at this obviously adult Halloween
I
party?
think I saw some other kids in the background.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not see any, so I kind of assumed that these poor
But
kids had
those kids are just there alone and they're not talking to anyone.
Well, they've got their little trio that they've got to float around in. So.
That's true, yeah.
But, yeah, we move on from that pretty quickly, and Tim is spooked by a rose that is tickling his ear, and it was Wilson, who was dressed up as the Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera, and he says that Rose, someone to him, gave him a rose to give to Tim, and...
This is where Tim should be like, why is everyone okay with this except for me? Like, why aren't people concerned? Why wouldn't Wilson have, like, stopped the person, you know? But he's just so panicked that he's not worried about it. I don't know.
Fear sets in, and all rationality has gone out the window. And he points her over to Rose, who is over by the garage door, and turns around. She's got this all red outfit. She's got a giant veil so you can't see her face, and she's holding a rose because that's what she does. She has an air of menace about her, Wilson says.
Oh no, I wrote the exact thing down because I was thinking like, she dressed in all red, an air of menace about her. I was thinking that'd be a good thing to have on like my gravestone. I don't know, I just really like that description. Dressed in all red and an air of menace.
Yeah, that's the way Rose lived life.
Yes.
So Tim sees Rose. He goes to Jill again, and she's a little bit closer to like the dining room area. And I don't know if you noticed this, but so we're to presume, spoiler alert, that Al is in that costume.
Yeah.
And there's a gorilla right by Jill, and it walks away as Tim comes to her side. So I'm wondering who's in the gorilla suit.
Yeah, it begs the question, because we saw Al in a gorilla costume about 2 minutes before. When did he leave, change into this outfit, and then who is masquerading as the gorilla? I don't know. Maybe the conspiracy runs deeper than we thought.
I mean, there's got to be at least one more person involved in this.
Who might that be? If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably...
Do you think it's the Meat Man?
I think it's Rock from K&B, and that explains,
That's where he's been.
Why he wasn't in the last episode.
Although,
because he was
I will say, like,
on the plan.
The gorilla that's next to Jill is very short, so maybe it's Dwayne.
Would you say the gorilla you know is better than the gorilla you don't know? Carry on.
The gorillas aside.
Gorillas in the mist, yeah.
Jill is talking to Tim about Rose, and Tim says, Rose is over there.
This is where some of the least convincing elements of the episode are in play.
Yeah, well, he gets her to look over to where Rose was, and the skeleton's down there with a rose in its mouth. Very creepy. Apparently, Rose just leaves roses everywhere.
It actually is kind of... I should say,
creepy.
This scene actually is kind of scary, and I'm not even necessarily, like, television scary. Like, this scene really does have an air of menace about it. I think it's really effectively done.
Yeah, I think the skeleton creeps me out, and I even know what's going to happen here. So, Jill at this point is unnerved and says... or pretends to be unnerved, says, call the police, and then she says, go upstairs, not to upset the guests.
No, I know, that makes zero sense. Calling the police in general makes zero sense, I would say. But then she says, go upstairs, and Tim is just like, yeah, okay, sure thing.
And he says, if anything happens to me, shoot the gorilla.
Yeah, that's for
Which
sure.
is not going to be Al, so he's going to kill someone who's not a gorilla.
Yeah.
But on the way up the stairs, there is a ghoul of sorts just sitting at the bottom of the stairs.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a party full of random people.
And that person's just waiting for anyone to come near the stairs.
I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's just like wasted or something.
Oh man!
I mean, I gotta say,
good.
this party, even with the Tim thinking he's gonna get murdered, is better than last year's party where Ryder Strong mouthed off and Brad got into a fight. It's a more successful party regardless.
That's true. So Tim continues upstairs. He's talking on the phone. He does that really terrible joke where he asks the operator what the number to 911 is.
I wonder what the origins of that joke are, because man, I've seen that a lot, and
it's never good.
I don't think it was funny when I was an infant, you know? It's just, I don't know that it's ever really worked, but we get it in this one.
Yeah, we do get it. And Rose interrupts this call by knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is that very strange voice that it obviously isn't Marie's. It sounds closer to Heidi's voice to me than
I would buy that. I kind of, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that it was Heidi's voice. Not Lisa's voice, though, because she's not.
That would have been very strange. Rose Okay, so Rose is knocking and wants to come in. Tim says just a second, and he tries to grab some sort of weapon, but Rose was in the bathroom the whole time, and so she taps on his shoulder, and Tim is freaked out, and Al rips off the veil. It is him dressed up in this woman's costume.
It is immediately evident when Rose enters the room that it's Al. I mean, it's either Al or someone we've never met before, but the build is very much of a somewhat portly man.
Yeah, so... It's Al, and again, we don't exactly know who did the voice, because it's not. There was obviously a second person, because the voice would have to sound like it came out through the other door while Rose was in the other
what does he
room.
say when he unveils himself? Is it like trick or treat or something?
Yeah, he just says trick or treat.
He should have said something better than that. He should have said like he should have said like eat Tim or something like that. You know, just like really get him.
That would have been an air of menace to that statement.
Yeah, there's. Dressed in all red, an air of menace about him, and that is Jill. Everybody comes up, and it's revealed that it's a prank that everyone was in
prank.
On.
Yeah, but prank. Jill came up with. She is the queen of pranking.
One of them group pranks. Yeah, she's the queen of Halloween.
Can I ask one question before we move on from this scene?
Ask as many as you want.
All right, what is Heidi dressed up as? She looks like a Thundercat.
Joan Jett. I don't know, like an '80s pop star.
With like a Halloween flair to it?
I don't know. She's like big hair, right? I don't know.
She's got giant hair. It was kind of like Bride of
Frankenstein?
Bride of Frankenstein, but also like a Thundercat. It was very confusing to me.
Yeah, what's a Thundercat? Is that a cartoon?
Yeah, it's an old cartoon.
Okay, well, let's not get into it.
No, it's not. All right, later on downstairs, we've moved on from the party. Everyone's gone.
And they cleaned up quickly.
Boy, did they. Yeah. And instead,
Spotless.
Tim has set up a romantic, spooky atmosphere. So we're going to get some Home Improvement After Dark on this Halloween episode.
I hope they took the skeleton out of the doorway, because he's a bit of a peeping Tom at that point. I heard that skeleton likes to watch.
Oh my goodness. All right, so they start dancing, and Tim spins Jill, and his arm comes off, and it freaks Jill out. So
and he says he's back.
He's got her back.
I got news for you, Tim. That prank is like a straight up C- compared to Jill's A+. But
yeah.
You can say you're back if you want, but they don't really compare.
No, not even close. But that is the end of the episode, except for some outtakes where Al stains some wood and wipes it to the ground, and Tim messes up some words on Tool Time. And that is episode 55, Crazy for You.
Roll credits, fade to black, Crazy for You. Jordan, highs and lows.
I really enjoyed this episode. Highs. I did like that they tried some new stuff, like the camera work that we were talking about, the disorienting camera work at the end, where Tim just kind of bumps into people. It's kind of weird that, like, the dialogue at that point was kind of weird, that he was just saying like, oh, hi, and these people were not actually speaking to him and just like waving their arms. But it did add a little bit more of suspense and tension to the scene. The music that they accompanied in this episode worked really well. We talked about how some of it was really creepy, like that skeleton with the rose in it was really creepy. So I think all that stuff worked really well. Yeah, I guess I didn't really see any other kids, so I did think it was weird that they had all these kids at this adult Halloween party. And we talked a little bit about how that episode, or that part of Tool Time at the start, where Al is kind of staining wood, and then they do the mail thing. How that, it works, but it's also kind of a little bit too long. I don't know. It seems like they kind of shoehorned the male stuff in there just to get the rose stuff in there. So, but other than that, it was really, I think, well delivered as a spooky and scary Halloween episode. So I remembered it. That's for sure.
Any lows?
No, not really. Besides the other ones that I talked about.
Okay. All right. Yes, really enjoyed this episode as well. Dare I say, I'm gonna say one of the 5 best we've ever covered. I really like this.
Probably right.
It's my favorite Halloween episode we've watched. And yeah, one of my favorite episodes, I would say. In terms of highs, I think that final scene, where just the final Halloween party scene, is just really, really good. I think it's effectively creepy, much like the whole episode is. And then, like you said, the handheld camera, the close-up shots, it is just kind of disorienting, eerie, kind of chilling, and whether or not the plan is logical or makes a lot of sense when put under a microscope, it doesn't really matter, because I think the episode is just kind of effective in spite of that. Like I said earlier, I didn't it wasn't really clear to me what was happening until Jill straight up says what's happening, which is, I think, to the episode's credit. I think that the prank kind of unfolds in a way where it's like you're not entirely sure what's going on until the very, very end. Like, I mean, until I saw Al unveiled, I wasn't sure it was Al. So I really think it's kind of like a good mystery weaved into a humorous home improvement episode. I think the jokes are effective. I think the Halloween stuff looks great. I think the costumes are really, really good. And yeah, I just really, really enjoyed this one. Lows, I would say, just the Three Stooges routine kind of made me uncomfortable just because I felt like it could have been done a lot better. But yeah, a really, really good episode. Definitely one that I remembered and one that I will continue to remember for years into the future.
Definitely. All right. Episode 55. Wow.
Crazy for you.
See, I mean, season 3 so far has lived up to the billing, so that's definitely good to see.
Season 3 has been so much better than season 2. It's wild. I'm loving every minute of it, my man.
You know what I love every minute of? Sean's social media roundup.
Ain't that the truth? Let's get into it, Jordan.
All right. So if you want to reach out to us, you can do so on Twitter at Home Impodcast. Facebook, we're at facebook.com/Home Impodcast. Our website, thehomeimpodcast.com, where you can contact us, comment on episodes, see all the episodes, check out the Wall of Fame for our awesome supporters. And if you'd like to become one of those awesome supporters, there's a support tab on the website, but you can also go to patreon.com/Home Impodcast and donate for $1 a month. That would be great. And we did get one more response on that the Google form that we sent out with some questions about, what kind of rewards and things would our supporters like. Somebody wrote in that they'd like a personal visit from you and I, so we're going to have to think about
that is got to be someone we know better than perhaps not. I can't imagine anyone actually wanting that, but I could be wrong.
No, we'll see. So, what's going on in the Twitter sphere?
Yeah, I just want to say, did you see the donation we got? We got a new donation via PayPal.
We did?
Yeah, a fella goes by the name of Count Dracula donated 1,000 bats. I don't really know what we're going to do with that, but...
what's the bat to dollar exchange rate?
so bad. I've had that joke in my back pocket for about 3 days. Glad to finally use it and have it pay off.
Man, it was really worth the wait, wasn't it?
It was so good. No new donations, of course. But if you want to, we happily accept them. Twitter sphere. Jordan poll last week, somewhat related to the macabre. Perhaps a morbid question, but after you pass, what's the plan? And the options were cremation, cemetery, or I don't care. 11 total votes, so 2 up from me, the splendid food question of last week. 10% said I don't care. 45% said cemetery. 45% said cremation. So,
ooh, a split.
Better run that one back and get a definitive answer.
Yeah, see if we get anybody to change their minds.
That's the truth. Other than that, I'm trying to think what happened. Message from Max Passa, who just said last week's episode was a great episode, so we appreciate that. Thank you very much, Max. And I think someone said that this was their favorite Halloween episode, and I believe that was interesting radio, no doubt. Miss Sarah Schott noted that this was her favorite Halloween episode of the series, and I tend to agree thus far, at least. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I did like the informal Halloween episode of the first season, though, the Anagata DeVita one.
That was good. Yeah, this one was better, though. IMHO.
Definitely. Yes,
thanks everyone for reaching out. Thank you to a Mr. Dracula for your 1,000 bat donation. You're very, very welcome.
Dracula. All right, let's get into the question of the week.
Let's do it. I believe it's my turn to ask the question.
Yeah, is it going to be any better than what I've had?
Your question last week was, oh man, talk about scary. That was about as frightening as it gets. Jordan, question this week. Oh man, what will it be? We've probably talked about Halloween before, one would suspect, but describe to me how you carve a pumpkin. What do your pumpkins look like?
Wow, I don't even really carve pumpkins. Huh. I do usually, what we usually do is...
Jordan, what are your Halloween traditions?
All right. So we usually go to... They don't have quite the same pumpkin patches down here. So we found a couple different ones. There's one that's a very small, like, I don't know. It's just kind of like underneath this tarp that has a bunch of pumpkins in it. And you can take some pictures with, like, Mickey Mouse dressed up in Halloween costumes and scarecrows and stuff.
Jordan mentioned Disney in a question of the week answer.
Yep. But usually I'll pick out a very tiny pumpkin that I like and bring it home and name it something that starts with a P.
Okay. All right.
That's very strange. I know. I don't know why I do this, but I've had Percy. I've had Preston and other things of that nature. Last year we did actually find a pretty good like maze and had a bunch of games and stuff there. So that was fun. Last year we went to Disney's Not So Scary. That's 2 straight Disney mentions. And we all dressed up as Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach and Yoshi. And that was pretty fun. People like to take pictures of us driving around the car in our outfits and stuff. And then one of my friends went and fought Bowser when he found him in the park. So that was a photo op there. So just stuff like that, you know?
When you answer some of these questions, you make yourself sound so much less cool than you actually are.
You know what? I'm just trying to be authentic. This is what I do for Halloween.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, Jordan. Halloween traditions for me. I always carve pumpkins. I would say I've not gotten any better at carving pumpkins. I would say the level I carved at when I was 9 is pretty much the same level I carve at now. It's rough, but I do enjoy doing it, although I don't like getting my hands in the guts. But I enjoy carving pumpkins. Usually I'll watch a horrific film the evening of... I think last year we watched Magic, which is like an Anthony Hopkins doll movie, which I had heard was really good and I was ultimately kind of disappointed by. But I'm a big horror fan. I like horror movies. For a lot of years, I did when I was younger because my dad liked them, and then I was kind of just agnostic for about 10 years, and I've since kind of gotten back into them of late. But we'll watch a horror film and maybe listen to the Monster Mash a couple of times and dance around. That's usually what I really like the Monster Mash. I think I like it more than most people do.
I like it too. It's good. It's always on my Halloween playlist. But I will say, Andrea's allergic to pumpkin, so we can't really do the pumpkin carving. I know it's weird that Andrea and I...
I'm going to add another...
allergy drinking?
Yeah, whenever you mention your wife having a celiac or gluten allergy, take a drink as well.
What about my allergies,
just our mainstays.
I will say one thing that I've started to do the last couple of years, too, is another podcast, the Stuff You Should Know podcast for Halloween.
Don't plug other podcasts that aren't going to plug us.
It's my favorite besides us. But they do like a Halloween special where they'll read a creepy old story. And that's usually pretty good. They've got some good stuff on there. So if you want a new Halloween tradition, I would say check out Stuff You Should Know around that time. They'll have some good creepy stories. It's just like your Halloween movies, but audio only.
Sure, that is how the medium works. So 88 days until Halloween, and Jordan, I look forward to talking to you about Halloween as that date nears as well.
Oh, good. We get to talk about Halloween like 10 times during this run.
Halloween and Christmas, we get a lot of mileage out of those.
All right. Well, I guess that's the end of the episode. And
I think so.
Next episode is going to be Blow Up.
Oh, it looks like Al buys some kind of a doll or something. That's weird.
I thought somebody was going to explode.
Oh, man. Well, either way, I think we're in for a good one. So, thanks for everyone for listening to this week's episode, Crazy for You. Jordan, thank you for joining me. And I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody. A quick thank you to Kevin McLeod of Incompetech.com, who has a bunch of awesome royalty-free music, and that is what we use for our intro and outro horror music today. So check out his website if you get a chance.